Hi everyone, welcome back to the Reclaim Ranch. My name is Tara. Today's video is short and sweet, but it's also a collaboration with quite a few people in Sonnet's membership group. And one of the topics that we had when we were talking in our group meetings was about vignettes. And so what we had to do is we were challenged to go to Pinterest, go to the internet, kind of find different pictures that stopped us from scrolling, like really caught our attention, and then we had to explain like why that picture grabbed our attention. And so Connie from the Painted Photographer had this one picture and we all just were in awe of it. And it's a chair that was just styled, and it's from the Country Sampler Farmhouse magazine. And so what we did was one of our members, Kathy from Waste Not Upcycled, got a hold of the magazine and asked if we could do something similar, not like copy it exactly, but make our own spin on that chair decorating. And they were super excited and wanted to kind of collab with us. So that is what our video is for today. So I did a couple of upcycles on some things, and then I'm going to show you how I styled my chair. I am so excited, you guys. And this link will also be put on a playlist to where you can see all of the people's different ideas and inspiration and all the fun. It is holidays themed, but you can do this at any time of the year, and that's what's so cool about it. You take one chair and you can decorate it all year long. So stay tuned. And here's the picture that I was telling you about, the Country Farmhouse Sampler magazine. Okay, so the first little project for my chair is the chair itself. I found this gorgeous wooden chair at a thrift store for $10. And what I wanted to do was just soften the tones of the wood. And so I'm using DIY white wax, and I'm going in and applying the wax and then immediately going in with a shop towel and removing the excess. I did not want it to sit on here for too long because I really just wanted to tone down some of the wood and have the white go in the cracks and the details to bring those out. I didn't want to have a really whitewashed chair. So this took a little while because of all the detail, but I just absolutely think this chair is so pretty. And the detail on top is actually florals. And so this is going to go great for basically any time of the year. In the Christmas season and stuff, I have the garland hanging over the top, and so you can't really see the flowers, but then you can use it instead of having the spring flowers in there. You can use it all year long. So again, I'm just going in with my shop towel, removing some of the excess there, and I'm going to go over the entire chair and do this. I thought about leaving like the base of it the regular wood, but I think I just want to keep it all the same because this chair I'm actually going to keep in my spare bedroom that I'm turning into an English garden. And so I have a really pretty corner antique desk that I want to use this chair for. All right, so these next two little projects, I found a stack of these little tart tins, or I think that's what they are. But I think they make super cute ornaments. And so I'm just going to paint the base there with my parchment infusion. And then this is from Sonnet's digital press in her maker's box. It's a Santa and reindeer, and I just love the vintage look of it and the colors. So I made a circle, and then I'm going to go in and use my fingernail to kind of trace out the line around it so I can get a better fit, and then just cut that out. And then I'm going to use my Fusion's Decoupage Transfer Gel to place that in the base. And you can kind of see some of the paint underlying on the edges. So with this one, what I did was I found in my stash, I found some red and brown twine, and I just hot glued that right around that entire little lip on the end there. And then called this one good. And the other one, I used little pieces of greenery that I had just kind of lying around, just wanted to use those up. And I made it look like a little wreath. And then I take my drill and I use my drill bit to put holes in the top of this so I can hang my velvet ribbon. And I love this look. Like, I think I'm going to make a whole bunch of these. I have like another like 6 or 7 tart pans you can see to the right there. I have a little stack of them, and I think I'm going to do like a vintage Christmas tree this year. That would be so much fun. You have to be really careful when you're drilling though. The first one here I used a small bit and made the first hole, and then I changed it out to a bigger bit, and I wasn't really holding on very well and it kind of got away from me a little bit. So you just got to make sure to kind of really hold on to it before you start drilling. And then they usually have sharp edges, so I use my little pliers there to press those down and kind of take those off to make it so it's not going to cut anybody. And then I added my velvet ribbon, and that little project is done. I also did a little wooden ornament as well with the vintage Santa decoupage paper. And so you can also use these little tins to make risers on your candlesticks, wooden candlesticks. You just use like E6000 or Gorilla Glue and place like a book or something on top of it to hold it down on your candlestick, and then let it sit overnight, and they make great little risers. So this last project that I'm going to do for today is, I've had this tin for quite a while. It's a big box tin. Tried to sell it on Whatnot and didn't go. And so what I'm going to do is I'm being like really recyclable this time. I'm using the leftovers from Sonnet's Garden Blooms Maker's Box. It's like beadboard and white swan. I mixed them together, DIY paint, and then I'm going in now with my second coat. I'm using my Fusion parchment, and then I am going to use the paper from Roycycled Treasures and the last Maker's Box. We got this beautiful plaid paper, and it is exclusive to the Maker's Box, but there's all kinds of decoupage papers that you can use in place of this. So I'm just going to cut it down, and I do have to kind of piece it together. I was able to get 3 sides on this piece, and so I am going to use my Fusion's Decoupage Transfer Gel. It's my favorite decoupage medium, and go ahead and place the starter strip part of it. Put my base down. I'm going to feed it to the paper, and then a lot of people do spritz it with water. I find with the gel though, it's easier not to. With liquid patina from DIY, it is easier to use water. So I'm going to go around, and I found that I came to the end of this and my paper was starting to kind of go in a downward motion. And so I had to cut like towards the end. You can see there's a white lip at the top. So I had to cut it and kind of replace it, but still stay in the lines. And with this paper, it's just a continuous paper, so it made it super easy. And then once I got around to the other side, kind of the same thing. I had to piece in the top part of it, but you know, you work real slow and easy, and it's actually really, really not that hard to do. So I'm going to place that and put the top coat on it, and then start it all over, kind of line it up where it needs to go, and then flip it over, and you can see here how it's still angled down. So I did just take an extra piece of paper and pieced it in, and then once it dried and I used my little hand sander to remove the excess, you really can't tell. You'd have to look really hard. Plus, I ended up using the hand sander to distress the whole piece anyway. That's another little trick that you can do to hide some things. And so, yeah, see how I just kind of piece it in there, and it works really, really good. So after I got it pieced together, I'm going to go ahead and put a really good coat of decoupage medium over the entire thing and then let it dry really well before using the sandpaper. A lot of times if you leave it wet and you try to take that excess off, it's just going to rip and tear. So you have to be patient or use a heat gun. And then for the lid, what I decided to do was paint the top, and this is Fusion's pressed, or no, it's not pressed fern, it is Park Bench. And this green, you guys, fit absolutely perfect with the green in that paper. I don't know how, but it was like a match made in heaven. So I did 2 coats of that. I'm using the new Winter Botanist from IOD, their new release, and I found this beautiful bird in this red frame, and I thought that would be super pretty. And then I have to the right there some little foliage with berries, and so I'm going to just frame it all out. And on my chair, you're not really going to see the lid part, but I figured if I ever used it somewhere else and just wanted as maybe like an accent piece, then I could keep the lid closed and use it like that. So if you've never used a transfer, you just take that white backing off, you place your transfer down where you want it to go, make sure it's exactly where you want it to go before you start going, because you can ruin the transfer. And then it has a little tool that you use to press down, and then you put your finger underneath and lift up as you go. And then that transfer will be pushed onto your project, and then you burnish it by taking that little piece of vellum plastic paper and rubbing it like that, and just kind of making sure all the air bubbles are out from underneath there. I also take my heat gun when I'm all done, and I go over it real gently with my heat gun, and that really pushes that transfer down into the paint. And then once that's all done, I can go ahead and use my Tough Coat matte from Fusion to seal the transfer onto the project. So the paint itself doesn't need to be sealed, but the transfer does. And so I love the Tough Coat matte. It's just a perfect sealer. A lot of people like the DIY products, so you can use Big Top or even liquid patina. Any kind of sealer actually will work, you know, just a clear sealer, and you can use gloss or matte. And then this is where I go in with my finger sander and then just take that little excess edging off on the inside. And I did leave the inside gold. I think gold is a really pretty color for Christmas and goes really well with green and red. And so you'll see a little bit of it popping out in my chair. And then here is where I go in and just lightly, now this is like an 80 grit, so I'm barely touching the paper. And it just really is taking off exactly what I want it to. So love this look. And then of course it's a little bright, so I'm gonna go in with the Antique and Glaze from Fusion and give it one good coat, and then use a shop towel to remove the excess. And that makes it look totally perfect for me. It's my vintage vibe that I love. My chair is going to be the vintage chair with Santa and ironstone, because I am an ironstone lover. So yeah, that was what I was going for. And I do have some wrinkles there because it is still a little bit wet, but once it dries, those wrinkles will disappear. And again, you can use like a dark wax, or, you know, any kind of darkened decrepit dust, darkened decrepit like patina from DIY. There's lots of different antiquing waxes out there, you know, that you can use to give it that, just that little bit more grungy vibe to it, make it look like it's been sitting around for a while. But here is my chair, you guys. I am in love. I know you can hardly see my chair because I just get super excited with all the stuff that I wanted to put on it. Didn't have enough room. I even had to put a crate next to it. But I love this look. It's just beautiful. It's like a wintry wonderland with vintage vibes to it. I got my little vintage Santa mugs in there, and my little decor that I made. That's the wooden one that I made. And I do have those decoupage papers on my website, but that one right there is sonnets. And I just hope you guys enjoy the video, and please go and check out all the other videos. And I want to thank you to Country Sampler Farmhouse for allowing us to take this idea and kind of run with it and make it our own. Thank you, Sonnet, for allowing us to do this collaboration. It's been so much fun. And Kathy, thank you for doing all the background work on this whole project. So take care, guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye.